around, I think it was 1979, you and Blackjack Lanza get to go over to All Japan where they did the
Tag team tournament.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was that like, that experience?
Tag team tournament was held in Japan every middle of November to the middle of December. And went over for different people. And Lanza and I, Jack and I have always gotten along, still do to this day, and very close. And nothing unusual, about it other than the fact that we went there and did our job and got paid and came home one piece,
Did you like you worked Australia, you worked almost every territory in
Sure.
the U.S. What was it like working in Japan?
They work more intensely. There's, in a sense, there's not a quiet kayfabe, but these guys over there work so close. So close. Yeah.
Yes.
These people work so close and so snug that half the time you're thinking you're in a shoot, But that's okay because, that's why when these guys say, oh, it's all phony, I say, well, let me just give you an easy clothesline. Just you can walk and I'll just hit you walking rather than you running into it,
You touched upon it a little bit. You're working in the Carolinas for Crockett. How was Vern's opinion of working in different territories?
From what I gathered, mostly through Wally, Vern felt very complimented that I was able to be invited to these venues, which was more a big compliment to me than it was to him, even though the title was AWA's. And I accepted it as that. And so when I went to any of these places, I, like any professional should, busted my ass to do as first class a job as I could with the talent that was there. And predominantly my dad always told me, he says, you know what the job of the world's champion is, don't you? He's the highest paid jabroni. It is his job to go in and make that guy look like he's the world's champion. And then leave. You get to take the license plate with you, but other than that, that's what your job is. Of course, I've always had that mentally in my head. So consequently, it was nothing new for me. And I think that was the predominant nature of my mentality that was preset long time ago by my dad. And that's why I say much of my success is because of him, how he helped put the chips in my computer and how he aligned them.
Around 1979, I guess there was talk, since you were defending the AWA title all over the place, some of the guys that had strong ties with the NWA, like Fritz von Erich and Paul Bosch, threw your name into the hat.
They sure did. They approached me.
And it's pretty much your decision to look at.
One time when I was working in Atlanta on a show, and at that time Barnett was in charge, and we went out and had lunch, and he pulled out a long piece of paper, and he says, "Oh God," he says, "I've got all of Harley's bookings for the whole next year." And guys know Jim?
No.
Anyway, Jim has a quaint way of speaking. And I says, Jim, what would be, how many times will Harley work next year? Oh, hell. He says, I guess with the TVs, 400 times. Now, I knew the funks. I knew that, it almost broke up families. I mean, it caused the NWA. I mean, you can't work 7 nights a week and have a family and be all over the world and around the country. I never worked more than about 185 days a year in Minnesota. So for the last 17 years of my career, it only took me about 3 or 4 years to realize this. It took that long for me to just be able to grasp it. The first year I was there, when the summer came, nothing goes on in the summer. What am I going to do? I don't get my wrestling bag and go to a town tonight? No. You go buy a boat, you go out and enjoy life. Become a human being, lay in the sun, water ski, And so that's why I never left Minnesota. And that's one of the reasons why when Jim said that, I said 400 times, with the TVs and everything. And I said, no, I don't give a fuck how much money the guy makes. It's not enough. Not when your wife divorced you because you're never home and you got to give her half of it. Dory Funk's wife, they parted, came back together. Terry Funk and his wife, they parted, came back together. You know, and I know Luthez from the time I was a kid. He went through 3 wives. So I said no. I says, so even though they had approached me and pretty much guaranteed me that I could have that slot, I said no. And I didn't say anything to anybody, but I mean, when they approached me again, I just says, well, I says, you know, let me think about it. I'll get back to you. And I never got back to him.
Finally, you lost the belt to Vern at Comiskey Park.
Yeah.
Memories of that match, since that was a huge show for him.
Yeah, you know, it was a ballpark show, and you know, and it worked that well. I mean, it just at that point, I'm not sure, you know, and I knew that I was still part and parcel of the big picture, and that I was just still going to be into that mode. So, you know, even if you don't have the license plate with you, doesn't matter. You're always still at that level working for it.
How about the story behind Otto Wanz getting the belt?
God love Otto Wanz.
We're just going to do quick stuff now.
Oh, yeah. Otto was a horrible worker, performer. I mean, it was like you giving me that door that's about this thick and saying, do something with it, Nick. I'm sorry, Otto. God bless you. You know.
Is it true that he paid Vern like $30,000?
I have no idea. I wouldn't necessarily doubt it. You know. Why at the time, you know, needless to say, Otto, of course, was seeking some, so to speak, some fame and fortune, so to speak, and a blessing to be put on him when he goes back to Europe and what have you. And so it's very possible, you know, that's one of the things that takes place. I mean, you know, if it does, it does.
We're just going to hit some
Sure.
some different names from like the AWA area from like 79 on. Guys that came in and out, just quick thoughts on them. Don Morocco.
Don, you know, God bless him, musclehead. And I think Don missed Hawaii more than anything, and he wanted to get back to go surfing. And when winter came, that just froze his poor little buns, and that's what he pretty much said. So, you know, he said, I'm out of here, you know.
Dino Bravo.
Dino, God bless him. Good talent. Just sad that he had to go the way he went. Undoubtedly, he must have been doing something not real nice for them to be in his living room chair and all of a sudden a couple holes in the back of his head.